real. Shh, just got real. Shit just got real.
Are these going to be...
Shit just got real. Boom. Boom. Boom.
I'm from Missouri,
And shit
shit
just got
real.
Boom.
You heard? Hey.
Shit just got real.
Shit just got real.
Here we go again. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Shit just got real. Shit just got real.
I'm gonna let y'all know the shit just got real. Tequila came out.
I like that. Hi, y'all. Welcome. Can y'all hear me okay? It sounds like it's echoing. Let's turn it down a little bit. Well, welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Shh, Just Got Real. I am your host, Stacy. Thank you for joining us. So, I wanted to tell you guys a little something before I get started. My co-host, Addie, has stepped down from the show. She wants to focus on her roller derby family and her children and her husband. So I totally understand that, and I hope that you guys understand that. And maybe every now and then she'll come and just kind of hang out with us. So I'm going to miss her, but we all wish her well, and you guys wish her well too. Okay, thank y'all. So today is June 16th. And I have the National Day. Y'all know I like to tell y'all about the National Day. So today is National Fudge Day. If you like fudge, I'm not too keen on fudge, but I know a lot of people that love it. And National Career Nurse Assistant Day. So let's give a shout out to all the nurses and all the nurses assistants, because they are very helpful to us in our time of need. Okay. So I wanted to tell you guys about our guest. I'm so excited to meet him. I have seen him on several local TV stations, telling us about different technology. He's a technology expert. Let's put it like that. So I'm excited, and I want you guys to meet Mr. Burton Kelso. Come on into the studio.
How are you?
Hey. How's it
How are
going?
you? I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear it.
I'm
No
excited
more
that you're
technical.
here.
I was gonna say no more technical difficulties, right? That always happens.
It always happens. You the man, though. You the man. You know all about that, right?
Yeah, I do. Helping people with their technology. It's what I do day in and day out.
So before we get into that, I always like to get to know the person behind the craft, right? So why don't you tell us about yourself? Married, children, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong resident of Kansas City area. I've owned a tech company for the past 29 years, which it seems like yesterday. So yeah, I'm married with two teenage boys that are 15 months apart. My wife is also an entrepreneur. She owns a wound care company that serves a lot of states, and they go on site to long-term care facilities and nursing homes and treat wounds. Doesn't matter if it's bed sores, diabetic ulcers, all that. They go in to the facilities and get people healed up, because in a
Wow.
lot of instances for nursing homes and long-term care facilities, it's better to have someone come in house to do the treatment as opposed to shipping them off to one of the wound centers, across the metro area or wherever they're doing service. Because in some instances, you have patients that are obese or maybe a little sickly to be moved. So nursing homes really love that type of service. So other
Right.
than that, I'm a national speaker. So I go around the country talking about social media and cybersecurity and all that other stuff, technology. I'm on TV, both locally in the metro area, like on all the stations, because I know sometimes people will try to pin me down and say, well, which stations are you on? All of them.
Right.
So 9, 5, 41, and Fox 4. But I've also been on national stations too. Don't judge me. I've been on Newsmax. I've been on News Nation now. And when the Black News Channel was still around, I was on a frequent guest on there too. And I've
Wow.
been on stations all across the country with local lifestyle shows. Like this week, I was on Your California Live. I've been on TV in St. Louis, down in the Ozarks, um, North Carolina, Detroit. I mean, there's at least 20 different stations across the country that I've been on. So, but
Wow.
that's pretty much it. You know, I'm gearing up for a trip to go to San Antonio next week to a real estate conference. But yeah, I stay pretty busy. You know, obviously my company stays pretty busy too. I've got technicians that do work and an office manager that work for me, so it
Mm,
frees me up to go out and travel the country and speak to people. Be
absolutely.
on
So
your
what
toes.
made excuse me. So what made you get into technology as as a young adult or teenager?
Like everyone else, video games, because Atari, ColecoVision, Commodore 64. I mean, that was it. I and back in the 80s when I got into it, I discovered that using a computer like to type out term papers and stuff like that was better than using a typewriter. I had a printer to print all my stuff out, but I mean that's how I got into it. But more importantly, for me, it's about helping people out and just making sure that they can overcome whatever challenges they have as far as technology. So I'm really a giver, and in the past I had to be careful with that because you've got takers out there. So I really had to learn to not give so much, but at least give someone a helping hand, and then obviously they've got to do the rest on their own.
Absolutely. So cybersecurity, tell me how that kind of plays a role and what does all entail?
Well, cybersecurity nowadays is more about people being educated about all the cyber threats that are going on. I mean, we've got the whole, I can't even go and say that it's the whole Russia Ukraine thing, but it's just instance of third world countries attacking the US as far as different cyber threats because we're all on our devices. Doesn't matter if it's a computer or a smartphone or a tablet, we're doing something online. And the challenge is most people either don't educate themselves as far as what they need to do in order to stay safe, or they just always have that mentality of, well, it's never going to happen to me because I don't have any money, or I'm just a small guy and criminals aren't going to target me. But what people fail to realize is that for at least the past 12 years, it's just been a numbers game with criminals as far as collecting information, credit card information, IDs, meaning your personal identification, and they just nickel and dime everybody. So maybe $50 here, a couple $100 there, a couple of thousand, but it all adds up when you think about the millions of people that are in the country and the fact that with technology you can just come up with any type of scam in order to trick people. And I think that's part of the problem too, is that they're constantly changing. So there's no set thing that is going to trick you. Years ago, it used to be, someone would plant a virus on your computer just to trick you. But now criminals are directing people to websites and having all sorts of scams that people fall victim to because they're socially engineered, meaning that they're designed to make people fall for the different scams that come around. So, I mean, if the IRS is calling you, you don't want to go to IRS jail.
No.
You're going to fall for the scam and try to pay the money because no one wants to see jail time. Or, you don't want that image of the federal marshals busting down your door trying to haul you off to jail.
Oh no.
But also, cybercrime involves a lot of the online threats like cyberbullying. There's a practice called doxing where people will post your address online so that other people can cause harm. And then for gamers, there's a practice called swatting where gamers will get envious or just mad at other online gamers. And so they'll look up their address, call a fake threat into the police department, and then, the SWAT team shows up at your house and busts down your door. And the joke, I mean, if you could call it that, with that practice, is the fact that the gamers want you online playing when the cops show up and bust down your door. I mean,
So they can see it.
That's the whole joke,
Wow.
And then one other thing that we have to worry about now are, as far as cybercrime, are the threats, like the one that was made against Blue Spring School a couple of days ago. Actually, it was yesterday, where kid got on Snapchat and said he was going to blow up the school.
Right.
And so, I mean, it used to be just single facet, but now it's multifaceted. I mean, you just don't know what type of crime is going to be committed and where it's going to be committed. So it covers quite a bit, And one other thing, it obviously large companies have to worry about that because Wyandotte County, they suffered a ransomware attack. I think it was about a month or two ago. So even local businesses have to worry about, big and small have to worry about criminals. And I know I keep thinking of this stuff, but I promise this is the last cyber threat. Websites. There was a black bookstore owner in town. Website got hacked by criminals, and they held it for ransom. So she had to start a GoFundMe and get the funds to recreate the website. And I think it was done in Squarespace or, oh gosh, I can't even think. One of those cookie cutter websites where you can build your own custom website. So I mean, there's threats everywhere, Stacy, and people just need to kind of be aware what they are, not necessarily have the knowledge to remove it if they get tricked. But the big thing about all cybercrime, Stacy, is the fact that 99% of it requires user interaction. So if you're going to get hacked, it's you clicking on something that you weren't supposed to.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you get hacked, what is the steps that you need to take to kind of get yourself back up and going?
Well, it depends on how you were hacked. I mean, like, let's take the most prevalent hack right now is ransomware. So ransomware gets on your smartphone or your computer, and it'll destroy or encrypt all of the files on your computer. So if your files are encrypted, there ain't nothing you can do, because when your files are encrypted, they're basically locked up. So criminals, if they decide to give you a key, they'll give you the key if you pay the ransom. But if let's say you don't have the ransom and you decide not to pay for it, those files are gone unless you have some sort of backup, which a lot of people don't, because they think, well, it's not going to happen to me as far as losing my files. And then it does, and then they're calling us saying, hey, can you help retrieve my files? And I don't mean to laugh, but there's really nothing you can do if you get hit with ransomware. So I'm always preaching, back up your stuff, because if you have a backup, then if you got a backup of information, then you can restore it. But if you don't, I mean, you're toast. There's nothing you can do. Another instance like that, Stacy, is the fact, another prevalent one is social media accounts. So, a lot of people's Facebook accounts will get hacked. And there's two options. They can get duplicated, which is not a big deal, because basically someone would take your pretty face, Stacy, and then they would create another Facebook or Instagram account, right? So you like pose, and then and then they take that photo and they create a fake account, and then they find out who you're friends with, and then they'll send them messages saying, "Hey, um, you know, what have you been doing? Can you click on this link, et cetera, et cetera."
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, and then what'll happen is people fall for the messages that come through. But if your Facebook account is hacked, then your goose is cooked because there's no support with Facebook, and you're just stuck. And what's so let's say it happens to you, which you seem
Ah,
pretty healthy. I'm not trying to put the kibosh on you. I'm just saying, let's say it happens to you, but you've got so much connected to your Facebook account, so you have to worry about that. So not only would your Stacey Williams Facebook page would go away, but the Got Real podcast sites that are connected, they're gone too.
no.
And let's say that you have a credit card connected with your Facebook account, then criminals are going to use the credit card and start buying up stuff, you know? So I mean there's nothing that can be done. So that's why it's really important for people to always be aware of what the threats are and how to make sure that you protect yourself.
I like the advice that you had gave about setting up your password and using phrases or catchphrases in those passwords. Can you expound on that for me?
Yeah, I can. I can't believe you remembered that. Most people, it's like one in one ear and out the other. So you're already ahead of the game. So there's so instead of using passwords, you need to start using what's called passphrases. So
Passphrase.
passphrases are basically two unrelated words that form a strong password. So for example, like if you used I'm trying to think of a good one. Oh, let's do red dolphin. And then you would do like maybe a year, like red dolphin 1997. So obviously dolphins aren't red, but it's an unrelated word. It's something no one's going to really think about. Or if you did a word like chewing sofa, or like TV, not TV screen, but TV car or TV sidewalk. Words like that form strong passwords, and it's something that cyber criminals aren't really going to think about. Like, I mean, you wouldn't want to use a passphrase like Mary had a little lamb, or you wouldn't want to use any scripture, popular scripture, like John 3:16 or 23rd Psalms or anything like that, because I mean criminals, those are known passwords and criminals are going to figure those out.
Right.
What you want to do is either go open up a dictionary and find two sections to pick out a passphrase, or there's a website called useapassphrase.com that you can go to, and it'll actually generate a passphrase for you,
Oh,
so that way you really don't have to think about what you're going to do.
thank you for that information. That is so helpful. Guys, you need to pay attention to this because um, a lot of us use the same passwords for everything,
Right.
home, work, and if you're using the same ones, and of course, if they're, something that's simple, you're putting yourself out there. So remember that those passphrases. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
So I wanted you to talk about this sextortion scams.
And you wrote all this. That's good. You know all this stuff.
Oh, I
Yes,
do my research on my
you
people,
should.
sugar.
You
Mm.
you definitely do. You like, I'm not gonna have some dummy come on the show and talking a bunch of nonsense, right?
Oh no, honey. Give me all that knowledge so we know what's going on and we can share it with people. That's why I wanted you here so that you could share your knowledge. A lot of us don't know this.
No, that's unfortunate. So sextortion scams have been around for a while, and the way that they work is that you get an email, and in the subject of the email, it'll say, "Hey, I've seen what you've been doing," or yeah, you were watching some porn online, and I know your password. So it'll may say I know about you. It'll have one of your passwords listed in the subject of the email. So again, a lot of these scams are socially engineered. So if you see your password from a stranger in the subject of the email, you could be like, "Oh my god, something's wrong," right? So
Right.
then you open up the email, and then you get a letter saying, "Hey, I logged into your webcam, and you were either watching smut or you were doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna release the video unless you pay me in cryptocurrency or cash." And so people fall for it because the scariest thing is that they see their password in the subject line. They're like, "Oh my god, they must have got into my computer." So with the old school sextortion scams, the thing to remember is that if you get one of these, unless you gave someone access to your webcam, kind of like how you and I are talking now, they didn't get into your webcam. It's just a scam designed to make you afraid so that you'll give up some money. But
Oh,
now sextortion scams have taken a darker turn because now cyber criminals who really don't have any scruples are starting to target young teenage children, both boys and girls. And the way they'll get them is that they'll convince the teen to take nude photos just to share back and forth. Usually it's in the disguise of a fake photo of a good looking guy or an attractive woman. So the teen falls for is like, oh yeah, if she's showing me all that or he's showing me all that, then let me go ahead and do the same favor. And then when the criminal gets a hold of the photo of your teen, then they'll write back and say, I got you. I know you know I tricked you, so I'm going to release this photo to all your friends unless you pay me in Bitcoin or whatever. And the amounts they start out with are high, like 2,000, 3,000. But if the teen writes back and says I don't have that, then obviously they'll settle for any amount. But the big thing with the internet is once it's online, it stays online. So obviously, parents need to be aware and checking smart devices to make sure that kids aren't having interactions like that. And obviously, with it being summer and with kids trying to make that transition from being locked up with COVID and being on their devices all the time, parents are going to have a heck of a time this summer trying to convince kids to get off their smartphones and tablets and get outside,
oh,
or at least say, hey, you need to let me see what you're doing on your device, but hopefully those ground rules are set in place so that parents don't have to fight their kids to get their devices.
yeah. Because in having a conversation with you, you mentioned that it had got so deep that these kids are killing themselves over
Yeah,
this.
yeah, there have been a couple of suicides associated with these newer sextortion scams. That I think the latest one, there was a teen in maybe San Jose that took his life because he was embarrassed. That he thought his photo was going to be exposed on the dark web. So yeah, unfortunately, took his life. So parents really need to be aware of that because it's a pretty scary thing.
It
Thinking
sounds
that
scary.
thinking that criminals are targeting kids. It used to be the only way criminals would target kids would be with social security numbers. So obviously, kids get a social security number, so criminals would take it and then obviously build up credit with it and then just go crazy with it. And then, if you try to set up a credit card for your kid and you find out that some criminal beat you to the punch and your kid's already got debt. But I mean, that's unfortunate. But when you've got sextortion, you've got kids killing themselves, and yeah, that's bad.
Definitely bad. So, what else is part of the whole technology deal? What else do you kind of dabble in?
Um, Remote working is a huge thing. Not as huge anymore after the pandemic because a lot of employers want their people back. But I mean, like you and I are conversing now, I mean, that technology really has come into play as far as people getting on their smart devices and on their desktop and laptop computers and understanding, how to video conference. another huge thing is internet access. I know. I think it was back in. I think it was back in February or March when they uh, did the infrastructure bill, and so we cover about an 80-mile radius from downtown Kansas City. So we've got a lot of rural customers that struggle with internet. I mean, we take it for granted because we're in the metro area. I mean, you and I are streaming just fine, but if you were out in the sticks, I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be
Right.
talking on the phone because the internet in rural locations is horrible. I mean, there's no fiber out there. You know, if you get on some of the smaller town community groups, you'll see people asking what the best internet service is, and you hate to tell them it's nothing. You're stuck with
Who
what you
is?
got. You know, move to the city.
Who is the best?
Well, in the metro right now, it's probably a toss up between Comcast, Google, and Spectrum. And so for a while, you know, everyone was on the Google bandwagon. But I
Right.
don't know if you knew this or not, Stacy. Google got rid of their TV service back in March. So now you just have internet and then you have to go with YouTube TV. But truth be told, I know there are people that are still on the Google bandwagon. I mean, if you're plugged in, it's definitely faster, but most of us are wireless and their wireless speed is comparable to what you would get with say Comcast or Spectrum, you know, as far as the internet's concerned. So, I mean, it really the best thing to do like in your area, I think there's a website that you can go to where you can find out what providers are in your area and who has the fastest service. But I mean, it's not like it was. And I can't believe Google's been around for 10 years. It's not like that 10 years ago where people were like, oh, I got to get Google. Now it's like, just get something that's got high speed and you're doing good.
I agree. I was on the Google bandwagon too, honey, because they was giving out all kind of specials and shit. I was ready for. I couldn't wait to get Google in my area because it took a little while. But boy, when I
Right?
got there, I sure was on it.
What? So did you get it?
Yeah, I had everything.
Did you get? I mean, do you still have Google, or how's that all working now?
Well, when I moved to Raytown, they didn't have Google, so I had to let it go.
Right. Oh, so what do you have now?
I have Xfinity.
Oh, yeah, Comcast. Man, you're
Yeah,
doing good. That's in my opinion, to be honest, and a lot of people don't know this. Comcast Xfinity is the largest internet provider in the United States.
really.
Yeah, because I know I got into a debate with my uncle, and he was all like, "Well, I can't believe that Time Warner isn't bigger than Comcast." So
Oh,
I had to pull up the map because he was thinking Time Warner, but Time Warner internet wasn't the same as Time Warner. You know what I mean?
right.
It wasn't the same. But when I pulled up the map to show coverage, Comcast is everywhere and it's fast, which obviously you know. So I'll tell you this: if another cable company comes calling, you better kick them out the door because you ain't gonna get no better than Comcast. I'll
That's
tell
good
you
to
that
know.
right now.
And they also have a streaming device that you can get, and you get all kind of channels and movies. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so stay
enjoy
with
it.
it. Yeah, and the good thing about Comcast, unlike Google, you ain't gonna lose your TV channels. I mean, I don't know how many appointments we had to send technicians out in March when people are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. There's no TV. What do we go with? And you know, you just you know, you what do you do if you don't know? You gotta
Hey,
call
you
it
got to
up.
ask.
You gotta ask. Yeah, it's
So you mentioned remote. So did your company during COVID like go and help set people up remotely?
No, we did, but at the same, we helped them to do stuff remotely, but it was business as usual because more people were upgrading technology, trying to make sure they had robust internet in their home. So a lot of times we were on site, you know, and as a tech provider, we're considered an essential, which shocked me because I thought, well, this is it. This is the end. But they're like with technology, no, you're considered essential, you know?
Definitely essential. You got to keep it moving. You got to help
Yeah.
us all out.
I know. I try to do my best, but I hate to tell you this, Stacy. Sometimes people don't listen to the IT guy. They'll just do whatever. It's I can't complain because
I'm
there's a lot of
guilty.
people that listen, but sometimes people get hard headed and don't want to do anything. So
I agree. I'm guilty of that. I had an IT guy telling me all kind of stuff when I first started this podcast. And I
what?
should have listened to him, but I had to learn myself. And so now I know better and I do listen to you guys. Okay. And I appreciate you coming on and giving us your feedback and your knowledge. You got anything else you want to, you know, tell us
Yeah,
about?
I was gonna say maybe it sounds like it sounds like you've done pretty good without your IT guy. You got set up with StreamYard and you're streaming pretty much on your own. And one of the challenges we have to deal with IT is that most IT guys aren't people, meaning that they talk terms they don't understand how to talk to everyday people, and it's really a challenge. And I think that's sometimes why we have the technology issues that we have, because IT folks get impatient. They'd rather talk their language and talk in terms that they understand rather than just dumbing it down and making it accessible for just the everyday average person, which it needs to happen. So it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a challenging thing, as far
Yeah,
as that's concerned. So don't feel bad you didn't listen to your IT guy.
I know. That's terrible. I'm better, I promise.
I'm better. I
So,
promise.
so what's in the future for Mr. Kelso?
Well, as far as speaking is concerned, would love to be nationally known as like a keynote speaker, because that's kind of where it's at. That's like the pinnacle. If you're a keynote at a conference, you just fly in for about an hour, pep people up, get them all riled up for the conference, and then you just burn out, and they throw a bunch of money at you for doing it. So
Mm.
and also from a TV aspect, there's the only, well, obviously I haven't been on any of the big shows like Today or Good Morning America or CBS This Morning. So I mean, obviously that is a goal. But for my company Integral, it's just to continue to grow and stand out and be known as a primary provider for on-site tech support and computer repair. Because Stacy, the bad thing about it with my business, when I say, well, Integral does computer repair and tech support, people are like, what? But then when I throw out those two words I hate saying, like Geek Squad, and they're like, yeah, we do all the stuff Geek Squad does. And then people are like, oh, okay, I got
Right.
you. Like, wait a minute. What's the difference between Squad computer repair versus me just saying my company comes out and offers computer repair and tech support? But they own it. They own that. And that's good for them. But at the same time, I hate saying those two words.
Oh, I
Geek
bet.
Squad. Geek Squad. Ugh. I
Ah,
hate it.
do you consider yourself a geek?
Not at all. And
No.
so I know you start laughing like, well, you
No,
kind
I
of
ain't
look like
laughing. I
one.
was just
No, I mean, obviously those action figures that are behind me would
um,
make you think otherwise,
you
but
said that. I didn't say it.
I know, but those are actually my boys' old toys, and so I don't like throwing stuff out. So I'm like, well, that would make a great background
Oh,
for doing podcast and TV appearances and all that other stuff. So it's but no, I mean, I try to duck the neighbors and tell them not what I do, because I don't want, and it's happened multiple times where people just show up at all hours saying, "Hey, man, my laptop or this is going bad. Can you fix it?" Like,
no
no,
way.
dude. I want to watch some TV or just relax. I don't want to touch a piece of technology. There are guys that like sitting down and fixing that stuff. That ain't me. You know,
Right.
that ain't me. You know,
Ah,
I
that is
just, and I hate
terrible.
to do it. Even with family, I play stupid. I don't know. I,
You
I,
know,
I don't know. I don't.
that is terrible. But you know
I
what? I'm the
do. I
same
mean,
way. I do numbers all day, all week.
right?
Ask me what 5 plus 5 is right now.
It's probably 12, right? You like, I don't know, and
I,
I don't care. I don't blame you. It's, you have to have that separation of work time and downtime. And I think if being a numbers person, people sometimes probably assume you like jacking around with numbers. Where same thing with computers and technology. People just assume that I just like messing with the stuff. I'm like, I don't. I don't want to
Well,
touch it when I get home. I don't want to touch it.
yeah, you got your time during the day, 8 to 5.
Right?
Then you get home to your family, your wife
Hmm.
and kids, and you just want to love on them and have a good time in your home and not worry about none of that.
Right.
I
And the
get
other
it.
funny thing too that I get is there's people that assume, and I gotta say this because there's people that always assume that kids know more about technology than adults. And speaking as a parent with two kids that started out as with tweens and now they're teenagers, man, they don't know nothing. All they know how to do is play games. And I don't know why people are always like, I'm gonna call my nephew to help me with the phone. It's like they don't know nothing.
I'm
And then they
guilty.
gonna hardly talk to you. They're just gonna like, here. They'll be like this, and then they'll just like throw it to you, say, here you go, I did it. And then, as an older adult or someone who's just not tech savvy, that didn't help you out. Quit calling your kids to fix your technology because
I'm always calling my kids.
do they help you out?
Hell no.
I knew it. See? I
You
told you.
wrong as a mug for even bringing that up, Bert.
But it's the truth. It's true. People always ask, and then they like start crying and stuff. I can't believe they won't sit down with me. Same thing with the grandkids. Grandkids, all they want is the Wi-Fi password when they show up to your
Right.
house. What's the Wi-Fi password? And then when you ask for help, they like, dang, I know I got to give this person, I got to get their Wi-Fi password. So I'm gonna do just enough to get by like kids do. So, and ain't it the truth? Like you tell them to clean up something, it's just enough. Well,
Yes.
I cleaned it. Well, it ain't good enough.
No, it ain't my claim.
No, exactly. It ain't normal clean.
Right.
Like napkins laying around and stuff like that. And your kids are horrible.
So how do if someone wanted to get some technology help, how can they get in touch with you or give some type of
I'm
email or
I'm like you. I'm all over social media. You can just Google Burton Kelso or Google Integral. Got two websites, burtonkelso.com or company websites, callintegralnow.com. But yeah, I'm everywhere. In fact, sometimes people will forget the company name. They'll just Google me and say, oh, well, yeah, okay. But
yeah,
yeah,
I don't know too
I'm
many
everywhere.
Burton Kelsos.
What'd you say,
I'm
Stacy?
sorry. I don't know too many Burton Kelsos.
No, not many people do, That's kind of a good thing. But
Absolutely.
if I did something bad, it's not like or won the lottery, it ain't like I can say, dude, that wasn't me. That ain't I
No.
would, Stacy. If I did that. Nah, I don't know who that is, man.
Oh, you would do that, but ain't nobody gonna believe your ass. They know you're lying.
They
Okay.
might fall for it. I may be able to put the okey doke on them and say, oh, okay, okay. You don't seem like you're that kind of guy. Well, no, I'm not, and then, eventually they'll find out,
Mm-hmm.
Eventually
Okay,
they'll
so
find out.
my name is Stacy Williams, right?
Yeah, you can blend in.
No, very common.
That's what I'm saying. You can blend in. There's a ton
Yeah.
of Stacey Williams out there.
Oh man, no issues. But you, on the other hand,
I know, right? Yeah, they're gonna hunt me down. And then
so
what's so bad, Stacey, is being on local TV and on social media. And I hate saying this, but I try to have that look like I know you, like yeah, okay. Sometimes not a clue. I'm like, who is this?
mhm.
The worst one was I was on 63rd Street, and a Metro bus driver pulled up like next to me, and she like rolled her window down. I'm like, dang, did I cut her off? She started pointing at me. I'm like, uh-oh. And then she's like, I just saw you on TV. I'm like, So yeah, I can't hide anymore. I cannot do any more bad stuff.
You even have that look, your voice. You have that voice that is none other, right? So yeah, there. That's it. You're known all over. Everybody know you when they see you or they hear you.
Yeah, that's kind of a scary thing, because it's like because I've had people I don't know if you ever had this, Stacey. You have people message you on social media and be like, "I saw you at whatever," but they didn't come up. It's like, well, dang, why didn't you say something? You know.
It just depends. Somebody could just be in passing and happen to see you, because I've done that before.
Well, if you pass by somebody, like you rolling down the street, you're not gonna speed up and try to honk your horn and wave at them, But if you're in an establishment, come up and say hi. Just don't peep me out unless they trying to make sure you like. What he gonna do? Is he up to no good? Rob this place?
You never know. You kind of want to give people their space. That's even, celebrities and stuff. People just run up on them and don't give them their respect and their space. And
like
so
Tom Hanks. You
like
seen that video?
Huh?
Did you see that video with Tom Hanks?
What?
Oh, dude, somebody knocked his wife, like bumped into her. Oh, Woody turned around and he had a few choice words. He was like, back the F up.
See.
Yeah, find that video. Yeah, I mean, I thought he's ready to come to blows, but I mean, he got to protect his woman. So
absolutely,
he didn't do a Will Smith. He just it was verbal.
We don't know too many people that did a Will Smith.
He didn't go up and smack somebody.
So I have some questions that I like to ask towards the end of our time, and they're just random questions. There's no rhyme or reason. Okay. All right. So I am my best when I.
Who, you or me?
You.
You gonna laugh. I'm my best when I'm sleeping.
Sleeping?
I'm joking. I'm my best when I'm up at night working on stuff, because I'm a night owl, so I like to stay up late, and that's when I get a lot of my work done.
Wow.
As far as writing my blog or coming up with different presentation topics for conferences and stuff like that. Usually do it at night, and I'm a last minute person too, so maybe I'm at my best when there's a deadline looming too.
I learned to never.
That's a good one. I've learned to never be rude to people, because you never know what people are going through. So you always be kind. You just never are just nasty to people, because you never know what someone's going through. So always be kind.
That's a good one. I like that. I will spend my last dollar on what?
Nothing. I'm hanging on that dollar. I'm stacking my chips. I'm not spending that. But if I had to answer the question and say I'm going to spend it on something, it would probably be a movie. I like going to a movie. So I would spend my last dollar or dollars now to go see a movie.
Awesome. When I'm alone, I do this.
Sleep? No, when I'm alone, I normally try to exercise and work out.
Okay. I always keep what in my wallet?
Oh, business cards. That's a no-brainer for an entrepreneur.
Yes. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What advice would you give young entrepreneurs that are trying to follow in your footsteps?
Always hustle, because the grind never ends. But don't overdo the grind, because this grind society that we're in will have you burn yourself out. So grinding basically means that you're just consistent at what you do. Doesn't mean that you burn yourself out trying to be successful. I mean, you've got to trust the process, and you just have to make sure that you stay consistent in all you do. Customer service, marketing, accounting, all of that stuff. Just be consistent in your business and you'll be successful.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Burton. And maybe in a couple of months, we'll get you back here. Maybe some new stuff didn't happen that's going on, and we can pick your brain again.
There's always stuff going on with technology, Stacey. You ought to know that.
Yes.
Don't change internet services or whatever you do. If you tell me, well, Burton, they talked me into going to Google, I'm like, I'm not coming back. I told you not to change.
I am not changing. I'm listening to every word you say, I promise.
Okay. I hope so, right. Because you gotta listen to the IT guy.
I'm definitely listening to my IT guy. Now, can you look in your camera and say, shh, just got real?
I definitely can. Shh, just got real.
Boom. Thank you, Burton.
Thank you,
All
Stacy. It
right,
was a
have a
pleasure.
good night.
You
All
too.
right, bye-bye. Ooh, y'all, that was good. Now, if y'all didn't get some good information off of that, y'all wasn't listening. Okay. And you need to check out Burton's page because he has videos. He has all type of stuff that you guys can get involved in and listen to your IT guy. Okay. Oh, and let me tell y'all about that intro. Shit just got real, y'all. If you don't cuss, just shh, just got real. Get your videos in. Get part of the real. Have fun. How about that? Hey, let's see. We got some comments. Hey, thanks, Elisa, girl. And somebody else said good information. I've seen him before on Speak on TV. Me too. I've seen him a few times on TV. You're getting feedback on the mic. You might want to wear headphones. Oh, okay. I'll remember that. Thank y'all. Well, thank y'all for joining us. And I hope that you guys learned something from Burton because he's very aware of what's going on. And pay attention to y'all teenagers. Okay? Y'all, it's serious. All right. Thank y'all for joining us. Shh, just got real.